assassination attempt, and this assassination attempt, as horrific as it is, should surprise no one. And you would think a political party that almost lost their presidential candidate through an act of political violence would have something to say about the way their leaders keep talking about the next election. Donald Trump has warned there will be a, quote, bloodbath if he loses. Republican Ohio State Senator George Lang said just last week at a rally for J.D. Vance that he is, quote, afraid that civil war might be necessary if Republicans lose the November election. President of the right-wing think tank and Project 2025 leader, the Heritage Foundation, Kevin Roberts, said on Stephen Bannon's podcast,
Steve Bannon,
quote, we're in the process of the second American Revolution, which will remain bloodless if the left allows it to be, close quote. Republican former Alaska Governor Sarah Palin said in August of last year of Trump's indictments, do you want us to be in civil war? Because that's what's going to happen. We're not going to keep putting up with this. We do need to rise up and take our country back, close quote. I could go on, but it's more and more of the same. And I hear nothing from the other side of the aisle in this room about these statements. You support a bloodbath if you don't get the election outcome you want?
Oh my God.
You justify violence if the left does not agree with you?
Unbelievable.
And what exactly has preoccupied this Republican majority while their allies threaten violence to their political enemies, real and imagined?
I cannot illustrate the degree to which Jerry Nadler is the scoundrel of all scoundrels. Like, tied among many, the most disgusting human on the face of the planet, basically saying, you shouldn't have mouthed off like that to the person that he just slapped. You have to appreciate this. This is Jerry Nadler's opening statement in day 3 of the congressional hearings into the attempted assassination of Donald Trump. Never to let a good crisis go to waste. On day 1, they were sort of on board, bipartisan, but the Democrats seized the opportunity to turn the assassination attempt of Donald Trump into a gun control debate. On day 3, you literally heard it here, Jerry Nadler basically saying, you got what you deserved, Trump. Listen again, because I need to temporalize, I need to put into a proper timeline the stupidity and the scoundrelness of what Jerry Nadler just said.
This assassination attempt, as horrific as it is, should surprise no one.
Okay. It should surprise nobody. Not because you had Rep. Maxine Waters saying, get in their face, harass them, and make sure that they are, swarm them, make sure they're not welcome. Not because you had AOC saying, take to the streets. Not because you had others saying, yeah, you could go protest on the front lawns of Supreme Court justices. Not because you had Kamala Harris raising money to bail out criminals from violent riots in 2020. No, it should surprise no one because...
And you would think a political party that almost lost their presidential candidate through an act of political violence would have something to say about the way their leaders keep talking about the next election.
Keep talking. The way they keep talking, as though someone just tried to kill Trump, but...
Donald Trump has warned there will be a, quote, bloodbath if he loses.
I'll stop it there. Set aside the fact that that is a godforsaken lie, which makes Jerry Nadler a godforsaken liar. Trump did not say there will be a bloodbath if they lose the election. He said there will be a bloodbath in the car manufacturing market if Biden is reelected. It was a bloodbath of the economic sense, and I don't know if Wikipedia or Merriam-Webster has altered their definition. So he's lying about what Trump said, but then he's suggesting that Trump said it after the assassination attempt, because you notice he says you would think he would have learned something from the attempted assassination on his life, and then he goes on to say a lie that he actually said before the assassination attempt. They're blaming the assassination attempt of Trump on Trump. These are scoundrels of the highest order, and repeating a debunked lie in Congress. Congressman, I don't know if they can get impeached. They lie with impunity, and they are basically saying Trump got what he was asking for, because back when we were prosecuting Trump, they said this is going to lead to civil war. So we prosecute and persecute Trump through lawfare. We try to get him removed from the ballot. And then when they say this might lead to civil war, they're the ones instigating violence. He talked about Steve Bannon. He has the balls of talking about Steve Bannon. What was said on Steve Bannon's show when Steve Bannon is in jail because of this political persecution by the Democrats. They locked them up. They abuse them through lawfare. They try to bankrupt them, and then they try to kill them. And then they say, you got what you deserve because you complained about us trying to bankrupt you, kill you, and lock you up. Oh my goodness. So anyways, long story short, that's going on today. I'm going to catch up with it later because I don't want to live stream it again because I wanted to do a live stream follow-up with Michael Yon, combat photographer. We talked on Sunday about the attempted assassination on Trump, and today we're going to talk about the Darien Gap, and then I'll catch up on this scoundrel hearing of a bunch of liars who are interviewing a liar. Christopher Wray is a liar. The FBI is talking about their investigation into the attempted assassination on Trump. The same FBI that literally falsified evidence and literally submitted it to a secret FISA court to literally obtain an unlawful warrant on Carter Page to literally unlawfully spy on the Trump campaign. And I'm not using literally like Rachel Maddow literally. I'm using literally like literally. This is the same FBI that falsified evidence submitted to a court to unlawfully spy on the incoming president. This is the same FBI that bragged about having an insurance policy against Trump's presidency. This is the same FBI that lied about the Hunter Biden laptop authenticity. This is the same FBI that tried to take down Trump through nonviolent means. Now they're going to go investigate into who tried to kill Donald Trump. How the hell do we know that the FBI is not complicit in this? Yeah, but no, let's go ask the liar some questions and then listen to him lie to us in real time. It's enough to make your heart hurt. And the one thing you might want to do about that is eat healthy, exercise, and be healthy. And the first thing you want to do in the pursuit of health is get your fruits and veggies in your body. It's a little known fact that you are supposed to have between 5 and 7 servings of raw fruits and vegetables a day. Most people don't. Most people are not healthy. There's nothing to deny about it, nothing to be proud about it. You can change as of tomorrow. Yesterday, I went biking, and then I did about 150 or 160 push-ups when I got back. Eat healthy. And if you can't get your raw fruits and veggies, and even if you can, Field of Greens twice a day. A small regret is slouching in the dentist chair thinking I should have brushed my teeth or flossed better. Do that also, by the way, because if you don't clean your teeth properly, it can lead to heart conditions because of the bacteria in your mouth going into your body. Little known fact, brush and floss. Not too much because then you get a receding gum line. A big health regret is not listening to your doctor when they say you should have paid better attention to your body when you were younger. Better health today and when it matters is why I take Field of Greens daily, bi-daily. It is unlike any other powdered fruits or vegetable on the market. It's not watered down extracts. It's not a supplement. It is an organic superfood, USDA organic approved. It's whole fruits and vegetables. Each fruit and vegetable was selected by doctors to support vital body functions like the heart, liver, kidneys, and immune system. And only Field of Greens is backed by a better health promise. At your next checkup, your doctor will notice your improved health results or your money back. Don't look back and say, I should have paid better attention to my body when I was younger. Field of Greens is a key way to health today when it matters most. Let's get started. 15% off and free shipping if you go to Field of Greens and use promo code VIVA, fieldofgreens.com. It brings you to Brickhouse Nutrition. Promo code VIVA will get you 15% off and free shipping. Do it and do it now. All right, the link is in the description as well. Let's do this. Darien Gap, people. Who in the chat knows what the Darien Gap is? Mike? Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
It is officially morning where you are. It's like 1 a.m. Before we get started, everybody share the link around. I set this stream up late as I typically do, but share the link around because this is information. You can catch up on the Stephen Ray thing later. Listen to it at 1.5. It'll probably be a lot more pleasant. Today, we're going to talk about something that I wanted to touch on when we first had our stream, Michael, but no time. And this is a thoroughly detailed subject. So, dude, first of all, what time is it where you are?
It is 01:09, so it's 1:09 a.m. in Japan.
Now,
the typhoon missed us. The typhoon missed us. We just got some big waves, and that was it. It's gone.
What, dude, you posted a picture of a beautiful green bird landing on your hand and then flying off?
Oh, yeah. I was reading a book over here, studying this morning, and I heard boom on the window, and I was like, uh-oh, I know what that was. And I looked out the window, and there's that beautiful little bird. So I walked out. There's a wildcat runs around here, so I picked it up, and it was a little groggy. It took it about 5 minutes to come to, but its legs were twitching. I knew it was probably going to make it, and it did. It flew off.
That's amazing. It flew into the window.
Yeah, that happens a lot with windows. Birds thump them. Yeah, I've seen it happen quite a lot. Yeah.
Let me bring this up because I think everybody it's a flipping beautiful bird as well. Hold on, share screen. And no, that's me yelling at Christopher Ray online. Okay, here we go. Like this is it right here. And look at this, beautiful.
He ran into the window right beside me while I was studying, knocked him out cold. He's out here on the ground. There's a wild cat that runs around, so I picked him up. Looks like he's getting his wits back. Oh, there he goes.
That's it. It just took off.
He's up on the wall.
Yeah, he flew to the window.
Okay. I think he's
and then from the window, he flew to a rock and stayed there for about 30 minutes. And then he
okay, cool. Yeah, it's amazing. It's a beautiful bird. I actually, in as much as I don't like birds, I can appreciate that they're beautiful.
You don't like birds?
They're gross. They're gross because they look cute and fluffy, but underneath those feathers, they're like bony, like ratty looking animals. I say that, by the way, the lawyer that I used to work with, she said that my spirit animal was the bird. So she always used to call me Bird. Michael, okay, so 1 o'clock in the morning, also just a preamble. We were talking briefly before we went live. You're on day 13 of your fast.
17.
Day 17 of not having consumed solid food.
Any food, period. Zip, nothing. I'm fine. People are like, oh, I'm getting dizzy and die. Look, if we all died every time we went 10 days with no food, none of us would be alive.
I'm going to ask
our
you.
Parents, our grandparents would have died a long time ago.
I have to ask the obvious question, and you'll forgive me. It's a TMI question. What do your bowel movements look like after 17 days of not having consumed food?
0, except when you eat some salt, which I eat pink sea salt every day. But you'll only have bowel movements 2 or 3 times after you stop eating, and then after that, it's just like, if you eat pink sea salt, you'll get some activity.
Yeah, I think I might have to attenuate my "I don't like birds" remark. They're beautiful animals. I just mean that when you touch them, they're not quite as fluffy. They're like bony things. Are like,
I love birds.
Michael, we're gonna get it. So we're gonna get into this now. We did not get into the Darien Gap. You're gonna go on, and I know you can go on for forever. I'm gonna interrupt not out of rudeness, but because I'm gonna make sure that the world understands the terms and concepts that you're talking about, which you might take for granted that others might not know. So,
okay.
I know who did I have on recently that said you took them to the Darien Gap? Was it Chris Martinson?
Chris, I took Chris and Martinson and Brett Weinstein at the same time, and some others. Yeah.
Okay.
I've taken 50 or 60 people down there. I've taken congressmen, Intel people, Laura Loomer, Chris. Good Lord! I almost took Bobby Kennedy, but we didn't do that. I'll say it now because I'm not going to take him, but. But I've taken quite a few people.
Amazing. I think it was Chris Martinson who mentioned it. And by the way, Chris Martinson is going to be on tomorrow at 1 o'clock. We're going to talk about his analysis of the Trump attempted assassination. All right. So for those of us who don't know what the Darien Gap even is, where it is, why it's relevant, let's start there. What is going on at the Darien Gap? Where is it? The overview, and then I'm going to get to some finer tuned questions.
Overview. It's the Central America. Has connected to South America at Panama and Colombia. So Panama and Colombia connect right there, and that it's called the Darien Isthmus, or some people call it the Isthmus of Panama. But so it connects right there. So that is the Darien Gap. They call it the Tampon de Darien, the tampon of Darien in Spanish, right? So it's the plug of Darien, right? Because it's about 60 miles of jungle without roads, right? So they have intentionally kept it so for various reasons. One is to preclude invasion from Colombia, and eventually, I think Colombia will do it. But also to keep it's a biological front line as well to keep out something. For instance, screwworms is one example. I mentioned screwworms the last time we talked, didn't I? The screwworms. I
don't think you did actually.
Oh, we could save that do it now or later. But the screwworms, it's a very important thing for us, though. Yeah. And anyway, so the screwworms were something that was, in North America before, and then our ancestors, like 2 generations ago, fought the screwworms down. They are the larvae of the screwworms are flesh eating, so they kill cattle. They kill dogs, cats, people. They kill people, sheep, anything with meat, right?
So the larva of the screw worm, I presume, looks like the botfly. It burrows under the skin, lays its egg in there.
Yeah, it's terrible. It'll get in people's noses and kill them and that sort of. So anyway, the USDA fought their way, and they were irradiating flies, the male fly, because an entomologist discovered that the female screwworms only mate once in their life. So if you irradiate the males and drop billions of those males off, so basically they drop these irradiated males in parts of the United States, and then they fought them down through Mexico, through Guatemala, Belize, and all that, Nicaragua, El Salvador, and Costa Rica, and then fought them through Panama to the Darien Gap. So the Darien Gap is the front line, right, of the screwworms. If they get back, they'll cost us billions of dollars, right? And so we have a USDA facility down there who still irradiates flies and drops them by airplanes in strategic locations. So that's another reason, is the buffer. Now, about 3 years ago, because I thought that we were going to be basically reinfected with screwworms because I know what the globalists are up to. I thought that those screwworms were going to make their way back to the United States. So roughly 3 years ago, I reached out to the people running the program and asked if I could visit the facility in Panama. And the nature of their denial, I'm like, they're in cover-up. So I started publishing. I think that the screwworms are going to make a comeback, and now they are. Talk about random stuff, right? I mean, when you can consistently keep getting this right, it's because you actually know what they're doing, right? And so I know what they're doing. Those screwworms they're all over Panama now, and they're all over Costa Rica. They're already been seen they're coming back. So now we've got an emergency organization up in Texas from the USDA that's monitoring the situation. But I can assure you those screwworms are going to make their way back to the United States, because that's what the globalists are doing. That's another way they're wiping out the beef and other protein supplies, right? And so anyway, so the Darien Gap has many reasons why there's no road there. Sip of water, please, because I'm fast.
Yeah, go for it. Okay, so for those who don't appreciate that, the Darien Gap is it's below on a map. Hold on, let me just see where it's below on a map. Nicaragua. It's where, if you want to invade or cross the border, and you are coming from anywhere other than the countries above the Darien Gap, you have to come through the Darien Gap. Obviously.
Yeah. Okay. So, for instance, Chinese will tend to leave China. Not all of them, but a lot of them will fly to Chiang Mai, Thailand, from China, direct flight. And from Chiang Mai, they go to Turkey, right? And then from Turkey, they fly to Quito, Ecuador. And then from Quito, Ecuador, they get on a bus, which Muckraker has done. I think Muckraker has been on your show, right? If not, I'll introduce you to him if you want. As a young man named Anthony Rubin, I took him to the Darien, and we went most of the way across the southern border together as well. But Anthony he actually followed the Chinese trail. He flew down to Quito and went up through Colombia, and then basically I've gone to the Colombian side as well, but not to the Quito side. So from Colombia, you get on a boat at a place called Nicoclí. And I've done this. So in Nicoclí is where everybody comes together. So everybody who comes or is from South America will go to Colombia. They'll go to Nicoclí, and they'll get on. Some are being flown in from the government now from Colombia, but most will get on a boat, and then they'll go to another place called Caparganá. Caparganá is also in Colombia, and that's where you begin the Darien Gap. So I went inside the Darien Gap just a short way with Chuck Colton and Masako Ganaha on the Colombian side. That was sketchy. That felt very dangerous. Chuck's a war correspondent, and both of us were like, "Hey, it's time to move out of here before we get smoked."
Well, explain it. What makes it sketchy in particular?
Oh, the cartels. First of all, they use a lot of they use the invaders to carry drugs, for one thing, or they come through and carry themselves. And they make a lot of money on these so-called migrants, right? And so these are all helped by NGOs such as IOM, Doctors Without Morals, Pious, just many, right? And so Norwegian Refugee Council. Anyway, but the bottom line is then they come into Panama, right? So it's the Panama side where I've spent about 6 months. And on the Panama side, they for those who survive, many died. If you look online, you'll see, Darien Gap, the most dangerous jungle in the world, which it seems like everywhere I go is the most dangerous jungle in the world, like Bangladesh. But it is a very dangerous jungle. It's very dangerous, and a lot of the danger out there is from falling off what they call the Montaña de la Muerta, the mountain of death, or they drown, and a lot of them drown in rivers, like 20 at a time, and that sort of thing. And so people are probably drowning right now as we speak. They drown constantly. They get lost out there. They die of disease. Some people just get hurt and they just sit out in the jungle until they die because there is zero rescue, right?
Let me ask you this. I'll bring back up the map. The question that I have, we're going to get into the importance of the Darien Gap itself, but this is the geography. If people are coming from overseas, Chinese, Middle Eastern, whatever, why would they land in South America and not instead arrive, say, on the other side of the Darien Gap, Costa Rica, Nicaragua, Guatemala? Is it because those countries are not allowing them to land?
Some do. For instance, Chinese who can get a visa will go to Mexico, and they'll go on vacation like Cancun. So if they can get a visa to Mexico, they'll go to Mexico and skip all that. And so and they meet up with their snakeheads. The snake and the Chinese call it a snakehead is like their enabler, right? They're the human smuggler, snakeheads, right? And so, those who can't afford that will go the keto route. And now keep in mind, there's a lot of Venezuelans come, so they don't go through Ecuador. There's Brazilians, there's everybody's who's who in the zoo, right? So you got South Americans coming, and then people from all over Africa and Asia. I see people from 150 countries, right?
And that is because logistically it's easier to not get a visa going through South America or cheaper.
Both. I mean, so you're just risking your life, but actually, the Chinese tend to pay about $20,000 to $30,000. It's interesting because I found something in a book called Camp of the Saints, and in the preface they talk about Chinese coming up on boats to New York and getting caught at that time, and they were paying about $20,000 to $30,000. That was in the 90s. Interesting, because that's what they still pay going through that route, actually. So there's many camps out there in the jungle. I've been all over this camps many, many times. I was there when Mayorkas came. I'm the one that supplied the video that you always see. A lot of the video that you see on TV actually came from me, probably most of it actually, from the Darien Gap. But now you see Oscar Blues down there all the time. He's doing an incredible job, and Matt Tomlin and others. And so Oscar, when I first took Oscar down there, and Ben Berkwam and quite a few, Laura Loomer, again, took like 50 or 60 people. I took. And then Ann Vandersteel and I and Masako Ganaha, we started Operation Burning Edge, in which we take only the most serious people in the world to places like that. And that's when we took Chris Martinson. And this is another thing that's interesting. So I found a bridge down there that they're building. I'd constantly been looking. I'm like, they're going to bridge this thing. I'm just picking up little wiggles on my spider web. And so I kept going to the Darien. I would go to the end of Highway 1. That highway that ends at a town called Yavitsa, which you can see on your map. Go to the end of the highway. It's called Yavitsa. And that's the end of the road in Panama, right? And so I kept going to Yavitsa and just looking around. Is anybody building a new bridge around here? And then bingo. One day I saw mud tracks on the road and I followed them back. New bridge. Now this bridge is really coming along. It's actually two bridges out there. They're going to be very large. And so that's where I took, Chris Martinson and
why do I feel stupid? Where is Yavita on this map?
Yavita, can you zoom out a little bit?
This is the Darien Park. So we're going to.
Oh! You got to go back up. You're looking at Columbia. That's right.
Sorry about that. Okay. Here we go.
Go.
Yeah, right there.
Okay. Go at the end of the road is Yavita, right? Okay. So I found that. You see that little river by Yavita? I found that bridge right there, and so immediately did the drone and found another bridge that they're building down out there further, and then so that when that bridge is completed, this is important. I really think that, and I've not seen this written anywhere. At some point, just based on my knowledge of the situation, I think at some point as this road gets completed to Colombia, that Colombia will invade Panama. And I have specific reasons for thinking that, and then just intuitive reasons for thinking that. But I think at some point you're going to see a war between Colombia, and Panama, and it will be sponsored by China. I strongly sense that. And one reason is when we built the Panama Canal, which opened in 1914, you can see the Panama Canal by Panama City there. When we built that canal, it opened in 1914, right? But in order for us to make the canal, Panama used to be part of Colombia. So we sponsored a breakaway state. So, there were guerrillas there. They fought back, kicked out the Colombians, and we used our Navy to block the Colombian Navy. So the Colombians still claim Panama as theirs, right? And I just based on things I'm picking up, I think they're going to go for it. It may be years from now, but that road will be important because you can use that road to invade, right? And there's another bridge that we haven't talked about one of the Indians, there's 3 Indian tribes down there. And one of the Indians sent me photos of another bridge the other day. It's one that he and I go to sometimes. There's another bridge in a totally different location. And that one also can greatly increase the flow of the so-called migrants coming through. So these roads and bridges can do 2 things. One is help the invasion to the United States and help the Colombian army, right?
So hold on, just to understand this, I'm going to bring it back up again and then after we look at this graphic, we're going to go over to Rumble and Viva Barnes Law exclusively. You're at the end here, Yavica. So you've been right here, like you've been to this river.
Oh yeah, many times. I've been up and down that river in little piraguas. The boats that they have are dugout canoes. They're called piraguas.
Dug out of wood, like a big solid piece of wood that they...
Yeah, they chop down a tree or get one that's already fallen and they hack it out. If you ever go to the Darien with me, I'll show you. They'll be hacking. It's like apocalypse now.
Yeah,
I took
never
out there, man. You'll be safe with me.
How wide is this river? Is it a kilometer across? Can you throw a rock across?
Oh no, I've seen children swimming across it. I mean, it depends on the range, but see that little bridge there to your left, the little bridge.
Yep.
That's a footbridge, and I've been over that bridge many times. And the children will swim under that bridge to the other side. Yeah,
that's wild. So I mean, basically, all that separates the southern side from the northern side is a car bridge over this body of water.
That's not a car bridge. That's a footbridge. There's no car bridge.
No, but that's what I'm saying.
They're about to build it.
Okay, and then they're going to build it, and then they're going to have to they're going to either
the bridge
expand.
that they're building is just to the left of that footbridge, about half a kilometer, about 500 meters.
Just for my own personal curiosity, have you been to Pinogana Park?
I've been all up in there. I don't know if I've been there, but I've been, days up by Piragua. I don't know if I was at that one, but I stayed in many of the villages out there.
And this river here, how wide is this across? What does it look like when you're down there physically?
It depends on the rainy season. Because sometimes the rivers like normal are kind of low, and other times it's it flash floods. That's one of the problems that the aliens coming through the jungle get them. Most of them don't know anything about jungles and flash floods, and they don't know how serious those things are. So tents with bodies, bodies floating down with tents wrapped around, because the most comfortable place to sleep is next to the river.
Yeah,
so 1 o'clock in the morning,
relatively flat, not a lot of overgrowth because it keeps continually flooding every now and again.
Right, and that those mountains down there, people die of hypothermia out there. Believe it or not, hypothermia in that tropical rainforest, right? And that's the Continental Divide. That's literally the Continental Divide that goes up through Colorado. That's it. So as the aliens come in, the mountain of death is the Continental Divide, right? And so they rain off of that mountain. They die there constantly.
We're going to do this now. We're going to end on YouTube and we're going to end on Twitter. Come over to vivabarneslaw.locals.com and Rumble, and I'll post the entire interview audio podcast, and I'll post the entire interview video on other platforms later. And 2 o'clock or 2:05, I'm going to be on with Jack Posobiec today talking about that other stuff that's going on in the world. What do I want to do? I want to end it. So let's just do this. It doesn't change anything on our end. Rumble and Locals. Now, everybody come on over there. The link is in the pinned comment. Okay.